Well, just at the start here, I want to flag this as a bit of a dad thing, right? That I've started doing. I suppose it's probably a question whether it's dad or just odd. So we've got this old knife block in the kitchen, right?
All right.
I'm interested.
This knife block's been superseded by flashier, sharper knives that we bought with Flybuys points, but that's a separate issue, right?
I'm feeling all of these things.
This is very dad. Yes, we're very dad at the moment.
All of these things.
Right. Just to keep the Flybuys as dry powder for the moment. But I've just taken to scratching my back with the knives on the old knife block because they're so old and crap and dull anyway. But I'm scratching my back, and from what I can tell, it's fairly unlacerated from what I can tell.
My question is always, take us through the first time you decided to scratch your back with a knife.
Well, I was walking around looking for something to scratch my back with, and there was nothing there. And I looked around the kitchen, and
you've got a spatula somewhere.
Yeah, but plastic, man. That's not satisfying. It's too much give.
There used to be the old, do you remember the old spaghetti strainers, the metal spaghetti strainers?
Yeah, we got one of them.
Holes?
Yeah.
They're pretty good. I blew up at my family tonight for that exact reason. Like I was sitting there post-meal and I said, can you scratch my back? And my wife goes, I had to cut my nails today because she just come back from camping and everything. Had to cut my nails today. I said, Tilly, can you come scratch my back? Nah, I started chewing my nails down. No one had any nails in my house, and George tried to do it. He's got nothing. And I said, what's the point of you people?
Yeah.
Do you know how long I spent cooking this meal for you? All I want is my back scratched. It didn't happen.
Come and get me a knife.
You mentioned
it's a knife block.
Well, you mentioned metal spatula though, and that's just the metalness that attracted. There's not as much give, and it was long. So there you are. I don't know. I'm not getting the feeling that you think that's good dad areas. That's just what are you doing areas.
I don't know. I think you need to reach
for the
out.
hygiene more than
That's the thing. Like no one else uses knives, but I don't feel like
we've got this lovely knife block with knives which don't get used.
Yes.
Now you've got back scratching knives, basically.
Yes.
Skin scrapers.
No one touched my scratching block.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think anyone will touch it. I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm scratching my back with it. I'm fairly sure that no one uses
Now
it.
you're going to find out that someone's been cutting garlic with.
Someone comes around and says, can I? That's it there.
Yeah, here, Dad, I cut up a mango for you. Have some of this.
What knife did you use?
I didn't know we had shaved parmesan. Look at this.
Buckland, have you put katana on your Christmas list?
Yeah.
As I get older and my mobility gets worse, the blades have to get longer.
I just want to see. I hope
machete
you get
blow.
one that's got one of those little plastic hands on the end of it.
Yeah, you got a Rambo
nails
Bowie
on it.
knife for Christmas.
I had one of those and it broke. The kids played with it.
Or
and broke
katana
it.
or a little plastic hand?
No, the little plastic hand scratcher.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty
What if they got you sort of like a less intensive, but like I guess half a human size cheese grater, but less intensive.
Yeah.
So you could just how much of a scratching you need. So
I
you'd be
don't
like
know.
the cat, just
so it's
rubbing
got
your
a
back
handle.
up again.
Oh,
Yeah.
you put it against the wall. So
No, it's like it's
attaches to
big.
the
It's
wall.
it's cast iron.
I don't know
You
how
just-
easy it is to say, look, I've got an idea for you to get me for Christmas. Half a human-sized cheese grater for my back.
but not a proper cheese grater. It's got
I've
to
seen
have
one on Amazon.
yeah. It's got to
Right.
be pretty
It needs
weak.
to be dull.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't be taking.
Don't give me a sharp one.
No.
Listen,
You want to see
fellas,
Dylan out in the yard with the rocks, just scrubbing it on.
What was meant to be a quick, potentially weird question has become a deep analysis. So I'm going to have to shelve it.
Human-sized cheese graters.
What else did you
Yeah.
expect?
Half human sized cheese grater.
Look, what are you saying? What are you saying, Ben? I can't say anything without expecting a 40-minute
You
conversation.
can't ask a question without us taking it too seriously, I guess.
Right.
Because we could have just said,
Right.
no, that's weird, moving on.
Yes, it's Dad Pants. Sorry, too much energy. Yes, dad pants. What's this? What's this? Is it Christmas? I don't think it's Christmas. This must mean there's more episodes than our 2 per year that we flagged. That's weird, but welcome, hopefully. Stu here, and the pants panel. Obviously, the pants panel. It's Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Stu.
It's Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
It's Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hello, all.
Oh, yes. And look, there's a bit to get into this episode, so we might just get going straight away. I've got a tissue issue I was going to ask you about quickly. Matt said he had some dad news. We've got some holiday dad talk. I've been on holidays. Rich has been on holidays. I've got some questions to ask. And we've got a listener question.
Oh, baffling.
Which,
Moly.
took us all by surprise. I don't think that's out of line to say, but we'll get
We
to
had
that.
a listener or they asked a question?
I think both of those
Why
things.
not both? Yeah. But listen, Angry Dad came out a bit tonight,
Oh,
and I think it's important that when we're here and we're talking to each other and we're being each other's dad comfort, support people, I suppose, that we admit when these kind of things happen. And I guess it will make me feel better, which is obviously the most important thing, to know whether you agree with me and that it's something worth getting upset about, or whether I should just,
I can't.
as is usually the case,
I love a question that starts with, "Am I right for getting upset about this?"
Yes.
I'm in.
But isn't that just what dad questions are 90% of the time?
pretty much.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Buckland. I am going to ask you to tell us what happened without elaborating.
Okay.
So no backstory of like, this is how I was feeling. We don't want to weigh, it too much in your
The
favor.
backstory makes me seem saner, though. Are you saying I'm not allowed to?
Yeah, no, that's the
Yeah,
point.
that's
We want to
exactly
be,
right.
we want
Yeah,
to take
we
the
want-
role
we
of
want
the
in the
children.
moment.
Yeah, we want to know what it was like
We
to
wanna
be your
know
family,
For Angry Dad.
and then you can give us the backstory.
And this will only be very quick, but can we also make a decision on what our outcome? We think the outcome will be before we hear the story.
What?
I agree with Buckland. I agree with him prior to hearing the story, and I would like for you gentlemen to tell me what you think prior to hearing the story with no
I think
context.
it's nonsense. It's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life, for sure.
There's one thing that makes for a successful podcast. It's extreme overcomplication of a story. Am I fine?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Oh, crap. Can I just tell you what happened? And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll see- yeah, all right.
Do it. Jesus Christ.
I've come home and my son's sitting on the lounge watching TV. On the lounge next to him is a scrunched up tissue, which he's clearly blowed his nose into. And I've just said that I can't handle this and you need to get rid of it. And he said it wasn't him. And I asked him if the snot-nosed fairy had dropped the tissue next to him. Because there's no one else around, buddy. So who's done that? I've just walked in. And I got upset. Now, I kind of need to give you backstory, but I'll let you talk first.
I have a question.
That upset me a lot. Yes, Ben's hands up.
I've actually got a lot of questions. How close was the tissue to him?
Oh, forensic
Let me,
files.
let me just say the purpose of this wasn't some sort of investigative situation when we find out who really blew. This isn't a
Then I
true
have a
crime
second question.
podcast.
I have a second question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud were you when you yelled about the fairy?
Not a question I expected to be asked.
What a
today,
great
but,
question.
How many decibels? We're talking
I
70s?
reckon it was one of those ones. I reckon it was one of those ones where I actually started quite soft.
Yeah.
And as the sentence went on, I realized I was getting more annoyed, and the volume actually went up.
Yeah.
As I was getting to the end of the
Now
sentence.
we're
which-
in real dad territory.
But
Yes.
that's rare for me. I usually start strong and then go, oh, calm down halfway through the sentence. But it was the opposite. So I think I worked myself up as the sentence went on.
Yeah, this is very familiar.
Now, Ben, issues around whether there was a second snotter is not what we're about. What we're about is, well, my question to you is it normal for people to blow their nose, scrunch it up, and put it on a table or the lounge or whatever else is next to them? Because, and here's the reason I got angry, my whole family does it, and I've asked them for years not to do it. And what I have done before, and maybe this is where you can chime in and tell me whether I'm completely mad, is I've said, this is bodily waste you're expelling into tissue, right?
Volume?
Yeah.
What was not the volume of the waste, but the volume of this statement?
Never mind the volume right now. Listen to the content. This is
16
bodily
mils,
waste.
17 mils.
This is bodily waste you are expelling into a tissue, and you're putting it on a lounge where we sit, or you're putting it on a table where we eat.
Yeah.
I find that equal. How would you feel if I wiped my ass on some toilet paper, scrunched it up, and dropped it on your bed? Now, that feels mad for me to say.
Yeah.
But
Sounds a bit mad.
technically, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's degrees of bodily waste.
Both filled with like germs and bacteria.
Yeah, and it's a social moray thing of bodily waste.
I would just teach him a lesson by, like, when he's asleep, just get an oyster and put it in his hand and go, that's what it's like. When he wakes up with an oyster in his hand, go, that's what it's like to touch someone else's snotty tissue. See you later. Sleep well.
Just writing down oyster in the hand for a episode title.
How is that oyster going to be cooked? Or is it just going to be...
No, raw.
It's natural. Thanks.
Yeah.
Natural.
Just checking.
Does anyone else's kids do this?
I think I'm probably the worst.
Yeah,
Well, even snotty tissues around.
Oh, wow. Buckland, we couldn't live with these two people. There's no doubt about it.
It drives me nuts, man. Seriously.
Like if I'm really crook,
Yeah.
if I'm really crook, I'll have the empty tissue box and the full tissue box.
Yeah.
So that will be my repository.
Oh, got you.
So if I'm proper snotty, if I am, and I'm normally on my feet anyway, but if I'm in action, then it'll go straight in the bin. But if I'm sitting on the couch, it'll stay there until I next get up. I'm not going to get up to put a tissue in the bin. That reeks of effort to me.
My eldest daughter she goes through a box of tissues like no one's business. I think she always has. Wipes her nose once in the bin. But she's got a bin next to her bed, and that's all it is, just tissues. And she would go through a lot. So we don't have that issue because of that.
What is it with kids these days? Like I did these days. I didn't
Have some
actually.
sort of sting to play when
And I
someone
know
says
that you didn't mean to say that.
I didn't actually intend that, but
I know, that's what made it so good.
I don't remember me as a kid or anyone I knew as a kid going through tissues the way these kids are going through tissues.
Yeah, I don't know. Buckland, when I was a kid, and this is oversharing, I used to eat tissues. I don't know why, but when I was not used.
All right.
I don't
Do we
know
throw
why.
out the rest of the content and go down that path, or do we save?
I don't know why. I just used to eat them.
8 tissues.
Yeah, like I would peel bits off a tissue and eat it. I can't tell you why, and I can't tell you when it stopped, but around, well, I'm guessing, I don't know, probably when I was 10, I was still doing it.
See, we did had tissues as a kid.
Yeah.
We had hankies.
There you go.
This is a.
See,
This
that's
is
worse.
That's
I
even
reckon.
worse. That's exactly right. I completely agree.
More roughage, though.
And you talk.
Good for digestion.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, hankies, like sodden hanky. Oh,
This is why your poo on a piece of toilet paper doesn't hold up, because you just put hankies through the wash, but you wouldn't put, like, toilet paper, or I've just shat myself. I'm just putting it all in the wash with everything else. It's not the
Well,
same.
I'm wondering whether you're trying to cut out the middleman and just wipe your ass on as it's coming out.
Possibly.
With what's already in.
With already what's in there, yeah. You're probably right.
Look, we might hold that there for now. Listeners' thoughts. Am I mad for getting so upset? And eating tissues. Yay or nay?
Probably not.
Matt, you had some dad news?
Yeah, I got dad news. I got a dad news story. I found it in the Canberra Times this week. And I wanted just to get your feedback on, could you see yourself doing this? And it says, Queensland man charged with encouraging teenage son to ride Canberra airport baggage carousel. So this 14-year-old rode at Canberra airport, rode on the carousel, and it went into a restricted area where there's security, and they grabbed him and sequestered him, arrested him, and then they found out that he'd been dared to do it by his dad.
Right.
So my question to you is, would you? Is that something you could see yourself doing?
No.
No?
And you'll hear from what I'm about to tell you from Holiday Dad that too stressed at an airport for shenanigans.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Airports aren't a shenanigans place. I was going to say that's probably my big rule, and it was even worse. Holiday Dad during COVID,
Right.
and was even worse because we'd just been trained to isolate ourselves from everything. So much
Right,
when we're
absolutely.
traveling and
Right. I mean, that's a
get to
good...
the airport.
Can we add that to a
touch
dad
anything.
as a dad commandment?
No shenanigans at the airport.
No
I like that.
shenanigans
I
at
think-
the airport. That's
I
pretty
think
good.
That's a
That's a
good
good one.
Yeah.
You don't make jokes. You don't
No.
muck around. You don't say, "Oh, I've lost my passport." Oh, no, you don't do that
No.
shit. That's not.
Well,
You don't go and hide.
Oh,
this does
definitely
need
that's right.
this does lead nicely into what I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
And yeah, talking about that stuff, we had to say to Dylan, mainly youngest child, no bomb jokes, or no terrorist jokes, no jokes along that line, and he only slipped one or two out accidentally. So-
One or two.
What was the over under? Did he do well? Like versus the over under? Like were you guys thinking, I mean, obviously you had to have that conversation, which meant that he was just gonna go for it if you hadn't had the conversation, I'd imagine.
He overreached. I personally couldn't see a situation where he would need to, but he found him.
Yeah. Were you slightly proud that he overreached?
No.
No.
Not
Again,
really.
no shenanigans at the airport.
No shenanigans at the airport.
I mean, I've got a story that you could all use for your kids. Is when I traveled to America, I got put in a bomb-proof perspex room while we were flying back from England, from America to England.
Right.
They took me out of the lot. We'd gone through, and then 3 agents came and took me out of the line, put me in this bomb-proof room where I had to take everything out of my bag, empty my pockets, and do all of this stuff. And when I was leaving, I heard them say, "Yeah, we're sending him through now. Yeah, it's the guy in the army shirt." Now, the army shirt I was wearing was a shirt that had Apocalypse Now on it. And so even that is that shenanigans, but apparently that's shenanigans as far as airport security go. And I had to go into this bomb-proof, we're putting you in the bomb-proof perspex room. So what is going on?
It's accidental shenanigans.
I would say that
Accidental shenanigans.
having a beard is an airport shenanigan.
Right.
Because the random testing that comes through every single time.
Airport
Good old
shenanigans.
Richie, come and get your swab done.
All right. Well, let me
That's interesting.
lead into what was on my mind. So, yeah, I've just got a couple of Holiday Dad, am I the assholes?
Oh.
Right? A theme of this episode already, seemingly. So school holidays were just finished in New South Wales. So, and we went to the Gold Coast for a week. So it was our first kind of family holiday anywhere since before COVID. Where all 4 of us went. We went to a little Kiama trip last year with 3 of us, but all 4 of us away on a plane to a holiday destination. And look, most of the week was fine in terms of my dad behavior while we were there and having the holiday fun. I suppose there was the only times when, that could be brought into question was me having a crack at kids for wanting to sit around their asses instead of getting up and doing stuff. Like, we're away on holiday. We paid a lot of money to come up here and do stuff. So you guys want to sit on your asses on your screens? What's going on? And I did that a couple of times until I realized that the purpose of a holiday is potentially to relax and do what you want and not be harassed. So that put an end to that. But
what day? What day was this,
I think
Stu?
you've got a valid point there, Stu. There's a balance between the two. And I think that maybe that is something that could have been articulated maybe a bit if there was some kind of a quota on screen time or something like that. Like, if everyone has their own downtime afternoons or something like that. But I think that you're right. I think you're mad for suggesting that going a long way away is a good reason to sit around and look at screens. And I completely understand your point in saying that, you don't want to harass them, but yeah, you're not nuts for expecting that, I don't think.
yeah, it wasn't so much the volume of screen time as when they choose to take it.
Yeah.
Like when we're going, all right, what should we do today? Let's go and do this. Let's go and do that. And I can't get them out of bed because they're decided that that's when they want to be on screens, that sort of thing. Anyway, that's a side issue. The real kind of problematic areas, theoretically, is like we flagged, airport dad, the traveling dad.
Traveling dad.
Got to be there on time, Dad.
Yes. So
in the morning, Dad.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Tell me about that.
Okay. So we have a family dynamic where whenever we're going anywhere,
All four of us just went,
I'm the one trying to leave potentially even a few minutes before we agreed to leave. And yeah, my wife is the one that's
Sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. Look at Ellis shaking his head like,
what do you think you're doing?
Silly man.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, for thinking
For trying to
that's-
leave early, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Look, in normal circumstances, that's fine, and I can accept losing most of the time, right?
Yes.
But when you get into an airport,
Airport, Dad, that's a very different situation.
I won't accept losing then
No.
because the consequences are too great.
Mhm.
And look, I was a scout. I was taught to be prepared, right? You plan for the worst, and if the best happens, then so what? You're there a bit early.
You're there a bit
shit.
early.
Who cares?
Airports are great fun.
As long as there's no shenanigans.
Correct. As long
Don't
as you
have
stand
fun.
still.
Don't muck around. Don't make jokes. Keep your hands by your sides at all times. Don't blow your nose on that tissue.
Don't fucking touch that.
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah, don't touch
Stop
it.
touching that.
Eat
Stop
this
licking the
very
rails.
expensive
Stop,
sandwich.
Please.
Yes. And look, to be fair to my wife, this time round, it wasn't so much her, but the kids. The kids are kind of the main time draggers this time round.
Right.
We have had instances before of getting to the airport late and having to be rushed through
Ugh.
because not planning for the worst, right?
Oh.
I have
Now-
anxiety right now.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
my
That triggers me, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. I'm not feeling like an asshole yet.
No. So this is all preempting me because next September, our plan is to go to Japan because that's what we're going to do 2020. And obviously that got shat all over. And now that's our plan. And I'm already thinking, all right, I'm going to have to do some work on myself in the next 11 months to deal with airport dad and organization dad.
I have a question.
Okay. Yes.
Oh.
Sorry. No.
Just in
go on,
relation to, because when we are now in the throes of booking a trip overseas, we're going to Bali next year. And I don't think I'm at the stage where I'm going to have to tell everyone we're leaving the day before, but
We're leaving the day before.
We're leaving. We may very well be leaving the day before. Now, Matthew, in your instance, will you be flying out of your current hometown, or
No, we'll probably drive up to Sydney and stay in the hotel right next to the airport,
right?
because the flights usually leave to Japan at
10
7 a.m. or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, does that make it harder, easier, or harder?
Much easier.
Okay.
Much easier.
So, all right, to ask you both questions relating to that. Are your kids does anyone else's kids, I should frame it that way, have the thing where they think it's hilarious to delay you and be slow?
Oh, no.
No.
Yes. George is already on the that bandwagon already.
See, now that's surprising because I didn't think it was a younger kid thing.
And you would not think so. And it doesn't happen so much holiday dad, but just every day George is like, he will drag out every possible thing. Like he does I've got to get my shoes. I left them out there. Oh, my socks are over here. I've got to go over there. Oh, my drink bottle. I've got to go back in. It's just every morning it's the same. Like you set him up as best as you can to succeed, and he'll find a way to fail. It's very well done. It's beautifully choreographed to just eke the most exasperation out of me. He does a very good job.
But also just to a point where you don't necessarily explode. Like he knows where that point is, or he just goes. He just goes.
He just pushes it.
But you probably can't say this yet because it probably won't have enough effect. But I have said this, and maybe this is the first genuine am I the arsehole. But when the kids, particularly in situations where we're trying to leave the house urgently, deliberately delay me, I have said, this isn't funny. This isn't charming. This is just obnoxious.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
fine.
That's funny.
Is that fine?
Similar things.
Yeah.
You're just being annoying now. You need to stop. We need to get in the car. I need to get to work. You need to get to school. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's funny though.
That's funny.
Yeah, if I was them, that would be funny.
Yeah, I know.
If you called me obnoxious, I would find that funny.
Yeah.
Dad's going, Dad.
What could I
Look,
call
Dad's
you?
being Dad. That's funny.
What could I call you that wasn't funny?
Oh, I don't know. See, I think this is where the dad problem
I think
lies.
as soon as Dad loses it.
Yeah. As soon as Dad, look, we want to annoy Dad, and now Dad's annoyed. This is good.
And this is the thing. They've got you so far over a barrel because there's no way that you can sit back and relax and not worry about it on the way to the airport.
Yeah.
This is the one situation where there's just literally there's no backing out. So for Dad, like there's not you can't play the game.
No empty threats. There's
no empty threat. That's it. There's no we'll leave you behind. There's none of this kind of stuff. You know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to be incredibly.
There is the what happens if we don't get to the airport?
Yep.
Like what happens?
I don't want to find out.
It's what happens.
Yep.
You little bastards.
Yeah, bad news. Bad things. That's why we're leaving with 83 hours to spare.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Does everyone remember when we went to wherever it was, Magnetic Island or whatever, and they had to hold the whole line up, find us, and usher us through in that packed airport? Does no one fucking remember this except me?
I want to hear about that.
Well, that's the extent of it, really. We were too late.
Maybe that's the
we
issue.
didn't plan.
Well,
yeah.
This is the issue, Buckland. You've lived it.
Yeah. Core memory.
Very cool.
Even if I hadn't, like my instinct and my scout training tells me that you plan for the worst because you can't just plan for what you think will probably happen.
So how do you get to the airport? Right. Can I ask? Are you a self-driver? Are you a shuttle? Are you a public transport? What's your
usually drive
mode? Usually drive yourselves and park at the airport. Is that the
and it's not necessarily for the like getting there quicker thing. It's more just the when we are getting home. Waiting for a train.
Yeah, exactly.
and packing on with a bunch of other people and trying to get your luggage into seats and stuff. Fuck that. Just into the car and go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same with living in Canberra. It's like, well, we could just catch the bus, and then that'll take you straight to the airport, and then, but the way home, I don't want to get off the plane and then get on a bus for 3.5 hours.
Yes.
And then get a tram back to it's just, that's not happening. So you're already, that's a dad plan of like, all right, I'm already thinking about how we're getting home.
That's exactly, you can't even enjoy your holiday because you're worried about what you're going to do when you get home.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like.
I had that conversation with another family that we are going with.
It's funny.
I had that conversation today. What time do we get home? Do we get home at 7 a.m. or do we get home at 8 p.m.? What's the best option?
I'm just, look.
Is this for something you're planning sometime next year, did you say?
Yep.
What's the best option? The best option if you're going with other people is, can someone else do it? Can someone else plan it? I'll go along with whatever.
Oh, no. They are planning it, but they are asking for...
Oh, yes, of course.
They're asking for input. So Claire doesn't answer the phone anymore. So I am the input man.
Oh, dear.
Fine. It's fine. No drama.
That's the greatest dad T-shirt ever.
I am the input man. Yeah. Got a question? Go to dad.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
Dad will give
speaking
you
of
an
on the
answer
way
if he's
home,
wrong.
speaking of on the way home, this is the main thing I wanted to ask your feedback on. My behaviour.
Okay.
It's the morning of leaving, and we had to get up and sort ourselves out, leave the Airbnb reasonably tidy, and get to the airport, right?
The Airbnbs is a very interesting issue now as well. Like how tidy do you leave
How
your
tidy?
Airbnb?
Do your kids make it? Do your kids smash something on your way out?
Oh, right. Well,
Anyway,
we made it reasonably tidy, but we know that this person hires a cleaner.
Right.
Well, you pay for it. It's part of your fee.
Yeah.
And yet they say, oh, you've got to keep everything, you want everything done. It's like, well, maybe not.
Don't leave your shitty toilet paper lying around.
Well, we're actually being banned. We've had to change our Airbnb accounts. So I'm not going to lie because we had friends. Well, we had friends come and stay with us. We booked the Airbnb. Friends came and stayed. They brought their dogs. Daughter pissed the bed, and then everything went pear shaped from there. So we got not blacklisted, obviously, but we got bad customer reviews on Airbnb. So we've swapped the accounts around now, and well.
Mr. Shrub.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right.
no, my name's Mr. Malice.
Yes. I'm the input man.
So here's the thing I need your feedback on, right? Morning of the leaving, trying to get ourselves. I'm obviously first one up because I don't sleep. I'm starting to do stuff to get ready. No one's getting up.
At 4:30 in the morning.
No one's getting up at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Right? So Passag dad comes into play. I'd wash some dishes. Those dishes were getting packed away extremely loud.
Dropping forks from 2
Lots
foot.
of loud crashing of plates.
Why won't this cupboard close properly?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Pretty
a
much.
trumpet.
That didn't work. That didn't work. And time marched on. So this is what I did, right? We had enough cereal for everyone to have a bowl of cereal before we left. I got 4 bowls out.
The stress of leaving is the title.
I got 4 bowls out. I put the cereal in. I waited another few minutes. No one appeared. So I poured milk into all those cereals. And then
Excellent choice.
Then I went and tapped on everyone's door and said, everyone's breakfast ready. I've poured the milk in. It's really up to you how soggy this cereal gets.
What brand of cereal was it? What are we talking to you?
So it's Wheat Bix Bites, which are
okay,
little Wheat
Gotcha.
Bix with
Yes. No,
The
fruity-
clock is ticking, basically.
the clock's ticking on those because,
Soon it will be a single bowl of mush.
well, they
And
are
then it will harden.
they are as absorbent as normal Wheat Bix, really.
Yeah.
So they'll suck all that milk up, and
And I would imagine there's no more milk left either.
there's not milk left. Do you know why, Ben? Do you know why?
Because you had 17 cups of coffee at the same
You
time.
poured the rest down the sink to teach them a lesson.
Well, that would be a step too far, I think. No, it's because I timed all the food out.
That's incredible.
perfectly for what we need for the moment we need to be leaving. So we had enough milk for coffees and cereal.
I'm going to get you to plan my next holiday away because we will end up, in most cases, taking more food home with us than we've actually. Yeah.
So
then we've taken.
am I the arsehole for setting a milky time bomb for my family?
That is
Milky
the heading.
time bomb.
That is the title of the episode. And
Like,
no, you are not.
That's really like jokes aside. Jokes aside.
In all seriousness, what time are we talking here?
How late? How many minutes
if
after
you're
they were
checking
meant
out
to be up?
So if you're checking out at 10 o'clock, what time was your plane? Okay,
We
what are
left
doing?
before 10. We had to leave at like 8:30 or something like that,
Yeah,
and it was like creeping towards 7:30.
Yeah.
And there was
No, Milky Time Bomb's fair enough in that case, I think.
Right.
I think,
okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm against the Milky Time Bomb.
So poor behaviour.
I don't think it's poor behavior. I think what you've done is what you're trying to do is make everyone as annoyed as you are. Your point of view is saying, no, this is all justified. But the reality is they're all going to be annoyed at you that will match your annoyance at them. That's a fun trip home.
I'm not thinking that at the time. I just want a result. I'm only thinking about it now after the fact.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I just know that's going to be explosion of them.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, you should have been up, and that's just going to be a
It
complete
did work
mess.
though.
Oh, I mean, that would get me out of bed.
It could have been me knocking as well, but
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure I would have just kicked them and dragged.
That's
them
it.
out
I
of
would have
bed.
just go jump on them and
Yeah.
say, it's time to wake up.
Yeah.
All right.
It's time to
So
wake up.
now, in this case, all right. So say you don't have Weet-Bix bites or milk to threaten your children with.
Uh-huh.
What is your course of action to get people out of bed when
Put an
they
oyster
are
in their hand and say,
Yeah, oysters.
Eat a
Hand
tissue.
oysters.
You said an oyster or tissue. They're playing oyster or tissue.
it's a tissue.
I counted out the oysters, so I had exactly the right amount.
Obviously,
Save 3 oysters.
I haven't got any milk or cereal left, but I've got some oysters.
we've decided now that it's part of a dad's utility belt just to have oysters at all times. So,
Oysters, yep.
all right. I think that's a good spot to have a little break, and then we'll come back with Holiday Rich. Thank you, guys. What you've told me is I'm not much of an arsehole.
No, not at all.
All right. That's probably for listeners to decide too. That since they're all of a sudden communicative.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a sec.
Man, I'm starved. Ever had lots of noodles? Somebody say noodles? Nobody makes soup in a cup like Continental Cup of Soup.
Continental lots of noodles cup of soup, brimming with noodles, and that great continental taste makes a delicious snack anywhere, anytime.
Hey, Rob's already finished. I like noodles. Nobody makes soup in a cup like Continental. Lots of noodles. Cup of soup.
Oh, we're back. Oh, yeah, we're back. Can I just quickly throw something else in I just forgot before we move to Rich? Here's another thing I got annoyed about. I don't think unfairly, but again, we strive to be better, so feedback welcome. Obviously, we were on the Gold Coast and in a spot I hadn't been before. So we went over to the shopping centre to get some provisions when we got there. And we walked in one way, and when we were leaving, we walked out what we thought was the same way, but ended up being a different way. And meant that our walk was a block further than we wanted it to be, than was on the way in. Do you think everyone could stop whinging about the fact that we had to walk further than everyone thought?
Every day? Did it come up every day?
It came up at least 3 times during the week about the fact that we had to walk. Like, why did we have to walk? Like, that was annoying how we had to walk that extra distance.
Right. Just from the kids or?
Not outwardly stated, but implied a little
you
bit
got
from
some-
the wife as well. But
You got some silent nods?
But
Is there any recognition of all the times you've chosen the right exit, Buckland? Like, the number
it's
of...
not even about that. It's like, I haven't been here before.
Was that doorway
Like, why?
forever known as like Dad's doorway? Like every time you went to that particular supermarket, it was like, there's Dad's door.
How am I expected to know? Like, you want...
But that's what I mean. Like, the number of times you would have got it right, Buckland. This is what I'm saying.
know.
There's no recognition. There's none of that. There's no adulation. They don't rejoice every time that you choose the right exit and you make it to your car without having to walk the extra block.
You've set the
There's none of that
expectations,
going on.
that you make
So-
the correct decision in regards to
That's it.
direction.
You make one
every
mistake.
time.
They remember the mistakes. They don't remember the good times.
After the third time, I've just gone, we're on fucking holidays. You have to walk an extra block. Get over it. Which dealt with it nicely as far as I was concerned. But what do you think?
Yeah.
All right.
How many times did they say it after you said that to get a rise out of it?
I think that was pretty much it.
That was it.
That was pretty much it. So,
Yeah.
again, result, but, reflection a week later, as is always useful.
Well, hey, look, at least you are reflecting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Thank you, Ben.
You have to wonder, we've all got stories of like our dads losing it. Which of our turns of losing it, which are going to be our kids' stories?
Which are the ones they're going to keep quoting back
Yeah, which are the ones that are going
to
to be
their
like-
friends
To their friends and, hey, remember that time?
on a shitty podcast in 30 years' time?
Yeah. So you got to wonder that. There's bound to be a couple, but
Well, I don't think, because my wife's a school teacher and has taught at the schools up until the last year or so, has taught at the schools that my kids have gone to, we've had very few people around to the house, like very few kids' friends around to the house. So there hasn't been a huge opportunity.
You've
For
said this
me-
before in an episode because, your wife being the teacher can't relax if there's students in the house.
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So our kids go and visit, and I haven't actually asked the question of has any other dads like cracked it while you've been visiting? Probably be a good question to ask.
Yeah.
But as of yet, I feel that it's coming, like it's brewing. And
My dad's going to crack it.
yeah, Dad, like
So you're going to crack it at the friends or at the kids in front of the friends, or what's the...
I think everything's in play. Everything's
He's leaving
in
his
play.
options open.
Well, it is, right? Like, and I'm just thinking about all of the things. Like, we've just had a whole heap of renovations done. Like there's
yeah.
It could be the carpet, it could be the paintwork, it could be any of these things, right? And
It'll be the
someone-
paintwork.
Yeah, it'll
Guaranteed.
Sounds like you want to pre-game, Wiggins, and get prepared. Work out, all right, here's my spot here, here's my areas. Where get the best volume, best
That's
shock
right.
value?
Where am I going to get? Yeah. Oh, how many different neighbours can I hit at the same time? Like, do I go out the backyard?
Yeah.
Where I've got 5 different neighbours
Yeah.
on the fence line, or do I go out the front and really go into the valley and give it a full and just give it a red hot crack?
Oh, that's a great phrase. There's another good dad phrase. Where did he go? He went into the valley. The valley of dad.
As I walk through. Yeah.
I reckon from my experience and probably from doing it myself, the actual in-company expression of annoyance is worse than just maybe yelling it a bit, because there's more menace to something where you're going, Dylan, I believe we've talked about this before, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying there? Yeah? Right.
The no blinking is a great.
The no
that's a
blinking.
good
I was going to
thing.
say, with that look,
You had me. I'm not doing it again.
I'm not doing it. Fucking hell. I'll pick up the tissues, Dad. I'm sorry.
Ellis has gone around picking up his tissues.
Just give me the oyster now.
Until tomorrow. that
I'll
is,
take
of course.
the oyster. I'll take the oyster.
Imagine that kid going back to his parents and they said, I don't know, they were talking about some sort of oyster. And I was like,
Yeah, I think he's related to Gary Busey in some way. He didn't blink at all.
But we go, you're not the person to go and shout at them. That's not your job. You've got a teacher in the house. Just teacher voice.
Yeah,
a wife who's got
might be a
teacher
bit of
voice.
that.
That's all it takes. They all respond to teacher voice. It's innate.
That's
in
the
those
frequency.
kids. Yeah. They don't go, oh, that was... and you just tell them, I'm a teacher. That'll freak them out.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. They know. That voice just cuts through everything. And they're like, oh, my God, a teacher shouted at us. Not a parent.
Yep.
It's the same. It's the right tone.
Okay, good advice. Good advice. Thank you.
And then you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Rich,
Yes.
you were also a holiday dad.
We went on holidays. Look, we enjoyed our holidays. I had some slightly different stress. So my big stress on the holidays was car related.
Oh.
So we got the car and, I did the right thing, got the big service done. She's been a bit rough. She's a bit precious, the ute we've got. So anyway, we've taken on the rundown and it's all right we went down to Hall's Tap, beautiful spot, highly recommend it, down the Grampians, camping for a couple of nights and then on to Melbourne. And I think this is probably the big thing if I can say to any dad and any kind of family, if you're thinking about your holidays, stick to one thing. I think every time we've tried to do too many things within the holidays, like too many different legs and different options, it overcomplicates things and things just become more and more fraught and the stress levels increase as a result of it. But anyway, we got down to Hall's Gap and the next day tried to turn over the car, wouldn't turn over. It's got this new battery, just serviced, still won't turn over. So it gets this thing where it'll warm up eventually and then turn over. And so, but it chugs and it feels like it's hacking out the engine while you're doing it. And you're like, it's going, but it's not. What do I do? Do you kind of plow through it? So that was my stress the entire time. Like, is the car going to start today? It will, but how long is it going to go for? And then is it going to die when we're in the middle?
Worrying about that all
well,
day.
and this is exactly right. This is what I did for the entire time. And so,
Well, that's not true because we saw you in a chicken restaurant
I went to a
and you looked pretty bloody happy.
You look
So
very
I was-
happy.
I reckon you forgot about the
He
car.
left the car running outside. That's why.
we were going to run out on that bill.
So he could enjoy his chicken.
Yeah.
Oh.
We went to Bell's Hot Chicken. Look, staying in Melbourne, went and saw a great show, went to Bell's Hot Chicken, caught up with the brother. It was amazing. Really, really nice little trip. It was a great trip. And our kids, I've got to say that for all of, bitching and moaning, my kids are incredible travelers. And they've done a lot of it in the car since birth, pretty much. We've been from up and down the East Coast and then coming backwards and forwards from Mildura to the East Coast and stuff. Yeah. So they really are very, very well-seasoned travelers and they do a very good job of it. So no major complaints there. But as I say, it was just having the stress of whether the car was going to go, constantly playing online, and then knowing going home, and we were it's a 6-hour drive from Melbourne to Mildura with very little in between, and kind of on the last stretch, about 200 k's out of Mildura, black smoke just starts pouring out the back, and I'm just like, 200 k's is just that bit too far. Like if we have to get towed, it's a dad thing. All I'm thinking about is how much it's going to cost to get towed, and then, what am I going to do with all the stuff in the back? There's so many other complications involved with it. But we lived at home. It was all good, and it's been in the mechanics now, and hopefully it'll kick over. But it's been really stressful. I hate thinking about cars. I'm not a car person, and I'm used to having kind of old bomby cars, and this is the first time I bought a car for myself type thing, and I didn't just scrimp out, and it's a bigger piece of crap than anything else I've ever bought. It's really frustrating.
Did you do a good job of keeping this stress and frustration from the rest of your family so they could enjoy being on holiday?
I was very quiet, I suppose, is how I handle that kind of stress, because it's not. I didn't take it out on them, obviously. They had absolutely nothing to do with it.
No, who would do that?
You have to be a monster to do that, Ellis.
But I was much more reserved than I probably normally would be, and especially as I say, coming up onto the big trip home, it was like just that much more. I'm just going to go to my show because I probably will snap, and so that became my go-to. That's my go-to. If I get quiet, that Dad will probably explode soon. So that's the.
Were your family perceptive enough to like say, "Why are you so quiet, Dad?" That kind of thing.
Yeah. All of the kids noticed it. Wife noticed it. I said, "I'm just worried."
And you just say, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
Davin, are you unaware of what's going on around you?
It is just such a different kind of stress.
Car stress.
Car stress.
Our stress is probably, I don't know. I think I thrive on some kind of stress, but car stress is just really. I
Foreign?
feel like it's literally killing me. Like
But that's because the four of us are so fucking hopeless.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is that.
None of us know anything about it.
Okay, how's that? Can I
very
add
true.
something to the car story?
But is that Dad's fault?
Your dad's fault.
supposed to? Yeah, our Dad's fault.
Jesus.
Let's
Well,
blame.
my dad tried to teach me about cars. and
Yeah,
I was just
Mine never did.
mine never did.
But you just said that like, what a shame. What have we missed out on? But maybe you did ask your dads. You ever try and teach you about cars? And they'll probably say, yes.
Quite a lot.
And you said, shut up.
But see, like Ben and
Small
Rich,
wonders
are
are-
your dads any good with cars?
No.
Maybe they didn't have much to teach you.
Well, that's, yeah, I don't
No, I don't think
believe-
my dad doesn't know much.
My dad was good with croissants.
I don't know what.
Pastries.
I don't know whether to explore that.
Hang on,
and
Wiggins has just had a breakthrough.
Wiggins, tell us more. You're remembering croissants.
Tell us
They
about the
grew
croissants,
large in your childhood.
the dad of the crescent moon. Croissant that.
that is a shirt.
I mean, surely you know how to change a tire. Like, that's really all you need to do.
Oh,
Yeah, I can change a tyre.
Change the tire.
That's all.
Not if there's
that's all
smoke
needed.
pouring out of your engine. Changing the tire is not going to help.
Well, I know, but like, I know,
Depends
but
where you
who?
put the tyre. Maybe
how
that's
many
the
people-
issue.
How many people know what to do when there's black smoke pouring out of your engine?
Oh, turn the engine off. Or just-
True.
Yeah, well,
Depends where they're from. Yeah,
just
pretty much
white
it.
knuckle it. That's all
It's
you
still
do.
going. While it goes,
That's
just
What'd
try
you
it
say
till
you
it
had?
goes.
200 Ks left? 200 Ks you can just roll down the hill for that. That's all right.
Yeah.
In the middle of Central Australia.
But the other thing is that we had an incredibly busy kind of week leading up to going away. And so little was done at home. And we arrived home on the Sunday night, had to go back to work on the Monday. And that was
Yeah.
a bad move.
And you
That's-
haven't
so-
relaxed for a minute, except
I
for
haven't
the
relaxed
chicken
for a minute
during
and
the
get
whole
back.
week.
So Sunday night, like literally, we rolled in at 6 and then unpacked and then had to go and buy chicken for dinner, and then
Had to.
had to. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
See,
what you do when you come back from
what,
holidays.
this is what we've learned with our travels is
Got to guard the carb.
if we can get back on the Saturday, then that's the goal.
Yes.
Don't come back on Sunday. Get back on
No.
Saturday. Even if that means sometimes everyone takes Friday off. Friday off school, we take the kids out. We go away for the weekend, and we leave Thursday night, and we come back on the Saturday. It's just a completely different world then. And everyone has the same thing of like, oh, I thought it was Sunday. That's great. Like, yep.
Another day. Yep.
'Cause,
Absolutely.
Rocking,
So-
especially a big holiday, rocking back into work the next day. It's just brutal.
Well, there you go. The
Yeah.
first piece of advice for the episode.
Yeah.
But-
Back to the croissants. I want to know more about these croissants.
No, well, we should, like, time marches on, so we should get to our listener question.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, I just wanted to add something to the car story, if I
Go
could, being that I had an issue with the car a couple of weeks ago and had to get some air conditioning work done. So I left it with the guy. He fixed the air conditioning. But then on leaving, what does he do? He says, just the standard mechanic just that little bit of add-on at the end of like, you might just want to be careful with that gearbox. And I was like, hang on a second. Like I've come here.
Yep.
Like what are you doing? Like what?
he's getting you thinking about the gearbox.
Exactly. And I have not stopped thinking about the fucking gearbox since I left. My air conditioning's perfect. Haven't thought about that. I'm thinking about this gearbox every time I turn the car on.
You're hitting about 2,700 revs. Like, oh, is it going to go? Is it going to go? Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not there. So
That's
I'm living with that stress right now.
That's the mechanic version of an upsell, buddy.
Yeah.
That's get him think about the gearbox. He'll be back in a month going,
What's up
maybe you
with my
should just
gearbox?
check the gearbox just for.
But then I visited work, or like a workplace that I used to be at, and if it's actually going to work, see how we go. So there's a glimmer of light, just by asking more dads more questions.
There it is. I should point out that my dad did try and teach me.
Yeah.
I was a dickhead.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I
didn't wanna
changed the
hear about
tire. I changed the tire a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Girls, come out here. I'm going to show you how to change a tire. This is important."
Yeah.
And they went, "Yeah." They came out, and they were like, "Yeah," and they were gone within like 30 seconds. I was like, "All right, we'll work it out."
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Now, last but very much not least, we have a listener question,
We do indeed.
which, as I said, took us a bit by surprise because not only is someone engaging with us, but Ben, you said it was a new listener.
Correct.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about what's going on there. New listener to this old show?
Yeah. So, again, I was at work, and one of the other team members at this particular workplace had just sort of piped up and went, "Oh, listen to your podcast."
Great.
I was like, "Okay, that's awesome." She's like, "Yeah, it's Dad Pants, pretty good, and not like a pretty good with a downward inflection. It was pretty good with an upward inflection." So I was pretty happy about that. And the upward inflection then brought in someone else that was there, right? So they were like, "Oh, okay, that's upward inflection. That sounds like it's a good podcast. Tell me all about it."
Right.
So they did. Now, they told this person about the podcast, and he then had a 2-hour drive home. So he listened to the first couple of episodes of Dad Pants
Right.
and rang me today and asked me this question. He very much enjoyed the podcast and thought, something just popped up for him, and he asked me the question, what do you do in the situation where you as a teenager or in your earlier life, you've made a choice or a decision that hasn't worked out real well, and now that your children are getting older and you find your children making that same choice or that same decision, like, what do you do? What do you do? That was the question. Like, what's your thought process around this?
Please, I've talked plenty here. You guys have anything?
Well, is it positive and negative? Did he give specifics about what decision had been made? Like, are we talking about when they exhibit behavior that you did, like acted like a dickhead and you were like, "Oh, I've acted that way"? Or is it
it was more about a negative. So it was more in relation to a negative decision or a negative choice that you have made that has then had a poor outcome. And you know that if they choose this path, that it's not going to end well.
I
There's
don't need
only
to
one
listen to my
option.
dad when he's teaching me how to fix a car. It's off.
There's only one option, and that's to be a complete hypocrite.
To be a complete hypocrite, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't,
You can tell anyone as much as you want, and they're not going to, and particularly teenage.
the reason I say that, our oldest is finishing year 10, wants to be a tradie, right? Wants to be an electrician.
Right.
And so then started kind of implying, what's the point of doing year 11 and 12 then? Why not just go and do an apprenticeship now? And, I said to him, well, the reason you want to do year 11 and 12 is because, 2023 Owen isn't necessarily going to be the same person as 2025 Owen.
What are you talking about, old man?
I'm always going to be cool and young. And
That's right.
Have you seen my hair?
What are you
it's
talking
amazing.
about? I'm
Come on,
always going to
fuck.
be like this and know exactly what's going on. Yeah, right.
But I just
Screw
said,
you,
like,
old man.
you may feel like I remember being a teenager, dude. Things you feel very strongly about one month,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily feel strongly about the next month. So you gotta
Keppers.
leave your options open.
Keppers. Show him Keppers.
Mustard pepper.
Undercuts.
Undercuts. Yeah.
Undercuts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the advice, right? Because at school, often students ask advice, and I had a year 10 class, and they said, "What do we do about year 11 and 12, and what should we avoid?" or something like that. And I went through all of the pitfalls, the things, and you got to have good work habits, all this stuff. Here are the things you should avoid. Don't make these mistakes. And this one student just said, "Yeah, but like they're my mistakes to make." And I was like, right. I just shut me up. Never tell students don't do this or act this way. That's you gotta make. They're gonna make mistakes, and it's not gonna be because you didn't tell them or warn them about it. Like Owen's gonna hear what you're saying and then do whatever he wants, and then maybe change his mind later and be like, "Oh no, Dad told me this."
Yeah,
So
probably, I accept that. But
yeah,
getting back to the question we're asked, the point of me saying that is because, like, we're encouraging to try really hard with year 11 and 12.
yeah,
I didn't try hard with year 11 and 12. I was shithouse.
Yeah.
I was a complete joke when it came to be academic stuff in those 2 years.
yeah.
I had a shit. What was it called then? TER?
I don't even
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
It's AITA now. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
A bad score. I didn't try. I was had completely the wrong attitude about the whole thing.
Yeah,
But through a combination of, right place, right time, luck, and
Yeah.
trying really hard at certain things,
yeah.
have turned out pretty okay in terms of having a job and a house and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
But what made you
it
try
feels
really hard?
hypocritical. It feels
I know.
hypocritical.
It's completely
to say.
hypocritical. A lot of advice we give to our children is either live my life again or don't live my life again. It's very rarely anything away from that. It's either
Yeah.
I think
do
the
exactly
best
what I
advice you
did
can-
or do nothing exactly. Do the
But
opposite
the
of what I did.
reason I feel hypocritical about it is because I don't let them know that I was awful in year 11 and 12 and did
Yeah.
shit and didn't try.
I will tell them. Don't worry.
They listen to this.
It's impossible for them not.
I've got a
to find
list of questions that Owen has sent me to ask the Dad Pants panel.
I don't
Well,
think it's
two-
about
two
giving
listening
advice or
questions.
anything. I think it's about providing options and,
Yeah.
just giving, you can give the morality tale. But at the end of the day, I completely agree with, what Maddie said and what the kids are saying. And, they're your mistakes. And I look back and think, there's things I could have done differently, but you can't have regrets. You're a different person. You've got to make your decisions. And starting from that, I suppose, that mid-teenager, you've got to start owning whatever you do
Yeah.
and taking some responsibility for it. And then I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice. It's
Yeah.
you can do what you want, but you've got to have responsibility for it.
I wonder too, Buckland, as parents, as all parents do, when we give advice like this to students and to our kids and we say you should do this, what we're actually doing is we're trying to make them have the least amount of obstacles in their life, right? It's about if you do this,
A choice. An opportunity.
that's right. You'll have that opportunity and that choice. But what you described then of what made you do well was a combination of luck, right place, right time, and then trying at something you really wanted to try at. So
Because you didn't bother doing it before.
it's all that. That's what life is, right? It's those three things. It's luck, it's right place, right time, and it's trying at something. And often we don't always find that until some people don't find it until they're you know,
44?
some people know it when they're 18. Some
That's what I was
people
gonna
know it
say.
when they're 20. Some people know when they're 30.
But
Some
yeah,
when they're 45.
I wasted a decade at least of my life to get there.
Yeah, but did you
And-
waste it though? We had a good time. We
Well,
wore
no,
comfy pants.
For the whole decade.
Well,
Most of it.
Most of it was a while.
There's a
What
few
I
weeks
mean
there.
is,
I know what you're saying, but the point is, like, what would you have listened to? I guess from your dad that changed that. That would have changed that.
Led Zeppelin.
Right.
No. No.
Good question.
It's not what I would. Yeah, I don't know what it would have listened to from my dad. I guess I'm just trying to get him to do, like, not go through the kind of pain aspects of
Absolutely.
what I went through
Yeah.
to get where he's going to get.
Yeah.
Like, if it feels like giving him the advice of do the opposite, what do I do, might shortcut him
Yeah.
to not go through all those stressful times where you go, what the fuck
Yeah.
am I doing? What's the point of all this kind of?
But he could just say, "Are you unhappy with your life?" And you'd probably go, "Nah," and you'd be like,
That's
cool.
what I mean. But I'm not telling him.
No,
I'm not
I
telling
know.
him that
Of
I didn't
course.
do it.
No.
I'm not telling him that I did.
Owen, I'm not telling you that you're happy with your life.
Yeah.
I'm not telling him that the advice that I'm
Yeah,
giving
right,
is
right,
the
right.
opposite of what I did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Does
I
that-
don't
does
know.
that
No,
make-
I understand.
In some ways, you are, Stu, because even if you're not telling him, it's still coming out of your mouth, and you did those things, so it's tainted
It's
with
all.
the fact that you didn't do those things.
I get it's hypocritical.
Tell me something's tainted, buddy. I don't want to hear that from you.
Back to the oysters again.
I kind of agree with Owen, to be perfectly honest. Though I think, and this is my personal opinion, nothing more, but I think that, you know, if that, and I know that's kind of a bit off topic from the bigger question at play, but I think that, you know, is there any point in doing year 11 and 12?
Oh.
You know, you get the apprenticeship done 4 years, he's finished by the time he's 20 and he's on good coin, and, you know, if he wants to go back and go to uni, there's so many different options getting back there now. Like 11 and 12 is not the be all and end all by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think it ever really was. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So.
I agree with that, and there's logic in that.
Yeah.
But I also just feel that, like, this desire to be a tradie is about 3 months old.
Yeah, right.
Like,
well,
don't we
that
need
might
to
be
see
so.
how long these legs are before we start making big life decisions about them?
What's his just a question around resilience and
Great question.
also
said it yet.
What's it
Might
going to
not.
be, Wiggins? If it's not, I've got a
How is
question
his-
around resilience. Is it
at
going to be
16?
how is this resilience?
well, tell us about his resilience at 16, and how will he? How do you feel he will go as a tradie as currently constructed?
I think technically he'll be very good at being a tradie because he's best subject, and he's really good at school academically, does really well in each subject, but the one he's like a savant in is woodwork. Like, he finished his assignments like in the first third of the year and has had nothing to do for the rest of the year because he did the whole year's work in the first month and term and a half.
Wow.
Wood
so
savant.
Sorry?
Yeah, the say.
A wood.
The wood savant is like
Yeah.
He's good wood humping.
So interesting.
as
so-
if that's not his fucking business name. Wood Savant Proprietary Limited.
But he
I
wants
like
to be a
good wood
sparky.
hunting. I think that's pretty good.
He wants to be an electrician. But
No, tell him we've decided for him. We've got
He's
a
a wood
title for his company.
Exactly.
That's what he needs to follow.
Yeah.
I'm an electrician. What's your
have you
company
ever
name?
seen anyone make a table in 3 minutes? Wood savant.
He's still an electrician. He's just called the wood savant.
Oh, okay. Well,
You like applewood chairs?
That's all
How
right.
about them applewood chairs?
It'd be good it'd be interesting SEO on his to get people to his website.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Technically, I think he'd be fine. Socially, the dealing with customers, dealing with clients, dealing with other people, I think he's got a bit to go in terms of being confident and outgoing and dare I say, pleasant enough
Yeah.
to potentially not.
And is that an experience you're going to get in year 11 and 12 at school, though? Like, or is that something you're going to get? Like, and I know I'm not saying that, that's necessarily the be all and end all, but just from are you suggesting that maybe he needs to work in another industry or something in order to develop those skills? And then,
Yeah,
Like
possibly.
retail?
Yes.
like retail
or hospitality.
or
Yeah.
hospitality, and that's where you can, and that look,
Yes.
yeah,
I think that combined just with 2 extra years of being alive and
It's a big 2
understand-
years. It's a big change in maturity.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
I don't think, I go back to the original question, you can't tell anyone what to do. You can't expect others to learn from your quote unquote mistakes.
That's the thing. You can tell people all you want,
Yes, you
but
can
you
help.
can't expect them to listen to you.
Listen, that's right.
How would you answer the question, Ben?
Over this last 12 months, I've learned that asking more questions is better than telling more things. So I don't really know, to be honest. I think I would probably seek to understand why they were making those decisions, like what their reasoning was. Yeah, just trying to seek to understand, I think.
Can we have a bit of a shout out to these new listeners? But
Yeah, shout them out.
Absolutely. So shout out to Jess and a shout out to Pranay.
Hey,
Yes, and
nice
Pranay.
one. Thank you for being new listeners. I've thought I got a bit of a shock that we had new listeners. To be perfectly honest, I thought, it might be difficult for new people to engage with this podcast.
And neither of them are parents.
Huh.
Well, there you go. All right, maybe it's just our soothing dad sounds that. But what
Very somnambulant. You can just send it.
what we
Send you up
the
to
fact that
ASMR.
after our initial run has been very sporadic release of episodes, coupled with the fact that we tend to spend a lot longer talking about things like ham and lawns and so on than people might reasonably expect.
It's completely reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm appalled by this episode's lack of ham.
Like a fan.
Well, it's that's the Christmas gear that we get. It's coming up.
Coming.
I think we talked about the Poseidon adventure for longer than you might expect one episode. So these are the reasons why I get shocked that we've got new listeners. Essentially, is what I'm saying. But thank you for your question, and anyone else who's got a question, please keep them coming. Whether you be a new or old listener, we're here and we're ready to take your call. Dads,
The ham bent
Thank
busters.
you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I kind of expected to leave this episode feeling like being a bit told that I was a bit of an asshole, but you've validated all my behavior.
Yeah.
I'm 100% happy about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're here for.
I don't think I'm happy about that. That's fine.
Unless
I'm glad you're
what we've
leaving.
come to the conclusion is that all dads are assholes.
I don't think we have not come to that conclusion. Not in any way, shape, or form. Some dads are assholes.
Another great question for the listeners.
Are all dads assholes? This is a prerequisite to fatherhood.
There is a segment, there is a percentage of assholishness inbuilt in being a dad. I think as soon as you find out you're a dad, it's like it's like having your belly button tied. It's like as soon as the baby comes out, they have their belly button snipped, it gets tied up, and you get punched in the back of the head with a chip that's got a little bit of asshole in it.
Oh.
Across this and every other podcast we've done, we do have a habit of, doing kind of content meetings on air. So here's an idea of what we could maybe do for an episode.
Indeed.
But we could maybe split down the middle, 2 dads on one side, 2 dads on the other, and have like a structured debate. Are dads assholes?
All right.
I like
Something
it.
to think about. Anyway, assuming that we do another episode between now and Christmas, because we're all just waiting for the hand chat. Let's be fucking honest.
I also have As you guys all know, I also have issues with pre-work. So
That's true. Very finally, Rich.
Yeah.
We are, early to mid-October at the moment.
It's the ham vent countdown.
When's the first ham of Christmas planned?
The first ham of Christmas.
Yeah.
what do you mean? That's why they were late back on the Sunday night. Had to pick up 3 hams on the way back from Melbourne.
No, we just shot a pig on the side of the road.
Nice.
I think, look, the Christmas tree goes up, the handbag comes out. That's the rule.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Dan.
Ellis,
Oh,
No, more
you're not going anywhere, Buck.
Ellis, have you bought a gun?
Or a pig knife? Do you have a pig knife?
Pig knife. Yeah, I've got a.
Can we have a weapon? Can we have a weapons? There we go. More content. Can we have a weapons episode?
What are you talking about, Wiggins? Who's scratching their backs with knives? Ellis is
I've
shooting
got a bow.
pigs.
I've got a bow. I don't have a gun.
Where do you shoot your bow, fella?
That's next week. No. Sizzle that.
Sizzle.
You need to cut right there, Buckland. Where do you shoot your bow? Cut.
This is an Angry Chimp podcast.